Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 1 of The Between. I am your host, and I am here with my players. My pronouns are they, them, though I use any pronouns, and you are welcome to use them interchangeably. I am the game master for this, and I have very little to promote. I run this stream here. I stream every Wednesday and Thursday, and also on weekends. I am now going to introduce you all to my players, and once we finish that, I will then introduce the world that we are playing this wonderful game in. First, in order, I'll go down by the call. B, please introduce yourself with your name, your pronouns, and anything you have to promote.
Okay. Hi, I'm B. My pronouns are he, him. I do writing commissions. You should pay me to write stuff about your OCs. Or real life stuff. Or, well, real media that's not your OCs. I also just... A book I helped write on the DMs Guild just hit silver medal. So, if you have not checked out Subclasses Revivified, it is a project that brought all of the missing Dungeons and Dragons subclasses that were not in the 2024 Player's Handbook up to modern rules. I wrote all the bards. So if you're missing your spirit bards, your swords bards, check it out.
Thank you very much. Bubbly, may you introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Bubblytarts. I use she's they pronouns. And I don't have a lot to promote. At least not right now. But I have emoji commissions that are on a waitlist right now, so if you're interested in getting yourself your OCs or anything else, a funny little emoji for Discord or for Twitch purposes or anything else, please reach out to me and I will put you on the list and we'll see what we can get done. Other than that, I have my web series Realm Jumper, which just finished its first season a few months ago, and we are currently on hiatus trying to get the second season underway, but in the meantime we are still releasing content regularly, and several of the people, actually everyone who is on this stream is involved in the show in some capacity, so please do check it out.
Thank you very much. Juno, may you introduce yourself?
Hello. My name is Juno. You can find me on the internet as Crowva. I am an artist. I did the lovely art that you see on stream before you. And if you would like something similar for your own personal purposes or for commercial work or other streams or whatnot, my commissions are open. I also have a Patreon where you can support me that way, and a webcomic, Back from the Brink, that is currently on hiatus, but it will be returning hopefully before the end of the year, available to read on Webtoons and Tumblr, about a demon detective trying to solve his own murder case. And that's about it. I don't have a lot going on right now.
Wonderful. And may we get your pronouns, please?
He, him.
Thank you. And finally, Krysta, may you please introduce yourself?
Of course. Hello, everyone. My name is Krysta. My pronouns are she, they. As for promotions, I am currently working through migrating from Twitter over to Blue Sky, which you can find as Krysta-kyu. And as for, I do have commissions open. I have a singular slot currently open in my batch. I will link to my commission prices in the Sleepy server maybe sometime during or after this session.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I am going to introduce you all to what we are playing today. We are going to be starting a new series. I am taking these lovely players of mine through a gothic horror experience, a tabletop RPG known as The Between. The Between follows the hunters of Hargrave House as they fight for queen and country in Victorian-era London, England. The game is currently live on BackerKit, getting a physical release. If one of my wonderful mods could please put that in the chat so that people can go support them financially. I have already done so. I would not ask you all to support something that I have not already supported. We are not officially associated, but we are big fans. And we have friends who work on it, so we know from good sources that this is top-tier content. I am going to go over the tone and the content warnings for this game, as this is episode 1, and it would be a bit difficult to reaffirm them within every episode, so please, I am going to cover absolutely everything that could show up in this show, and we will move forward, and this will include for both things written into the game and things that our players are going to be introducing to you all. I'm going to go over the cats. This is written into the player's handbook specifically. It is going to go over the concept, the aim, and the tone, and the subject matter. The concept of the Between is that it is a tabletop role-playing game about a group of mysterious monster hunters in Victoria-era London. These hunters learn about various monstrous threats to the city and conduct investigations or hunts in order to neutralize them. Over time, they become aware of the plans of a criminal mastermind who is pulling the strings behind the scenes. The hunters will eventually be forced to confront this criminal mastermind in order to save Queen and country. The Between is directly inspired by the TV show Penny Dreadful, but also takes inspiration from British horror classics, the works of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, pulp-era media, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and From Hell. This game's mechanics are based on the Apocalypse World and Brindlewood Bay systems, but you don't need to know anything about those games before we play. The aim of the characters in this story is to keep London safe by investigating monstrous threats and learning how to stop them. Our aim as players is to learn more about these characters' mysterious pasts, as well as to paint a vivid picture of our version of Victoria-era London, a responsibility we all share. The aims for today's session are to create and introduce our characters, learn the basics of how the game works by playing it, and then having a debrief period at the end. An important thing to note about this game, something wonderful in the way that it is set up. I do not know my players' backstories. Those are something that we keep secret and close to the chest, and we all get to learn in this collaborative storytelling environment as the game progresses, much like a good episode of TV. The tone of the Between is a dark, mysterious, and sensual game. A little bit of levity or humor from time to time is okay, but we will always strive to return to that dark, brooding place the characters exist in. And finally, the subject matter. This is where I am going to cover all of the content warnings that come in the base game along with what our players are introducing. Of course, however, we will always remain Twitch safe, and we will be utilizing lines and veils. Certain concepts, things that go too far or not comfortable for our players, will be lined and will not be in the game, and certain subject matter that is distressing or upsetting is going to be veiled, where it is alluded to and hinted at but never shown explicitly on screen. The game itself includes murder, cannibalism, body horror, dark sexual themes, erotic sensuality, threats to animals and children, foul language, blasphemy, witchcraft, and defiling graves and corpses. They'll all come up frequently. And now for things that we have in the master list. These are things that are going to be relating to our player characters. We have animal cruelty and harm, murder, dismemberment, descending into madness, psychosis, stalking, ritualistic self-harm, addiction, codependency, animal cruelty, poor patient treatment in hospital settings, grave robbing, corpses, Frankenstein behavior, terminal illness, family death, unhealthy coping mechanisms, obsessive behavior, vague implications of immortality and the consequences of being long-lived, unhealthy needs for attention and love, self-sacrificial behavior, parasites, and hallucinations. If anything I have listed is something that you know for a fact you cannot handle, this show may not be for you, and it might be best for you to engage in some of the other content I produce on other streams. If this is something that you feel comfortable with or that you can handle, then we are excited to have you here. But remember that your mental health and the mental health of my players will always come first. And at any point, if you are uncomfortable or unsafe, you are welcome to take a break from the stream, do something to help you recover, and come back to it later. With that, I believe it is time that we introduce our players. We enter into Hargrave House, located on, I believe it's Bellevue Avenue. I need to double check. And, you know, I think we will go opposite call order for introducing our hunters. So, forgive me, I'm going through my notes. I have so many tabs open. Raffaela?
Yes?
Raffaela, please introduce yourself. Introduce to us your name, your pronouns, your vice, things about yourself.
Thank you very much. My name is Raffaela Beckley. My pronouns are she, they. And my vice, which I have in my hands, is an absinthe cocktail with a dash of formaldehyde and sugar to boot.
Wonderful. And could you also tell us your look? I apologized, I forgot to mention that.
No worries. I'm dreadfully pale. Eyes sunken in, like a skull or death. And with ruby red lips that have been cracked and chapped and dreadfully dried.
Wonderful. Might you also read the colored text associated with your character?
Of course. For as long as I can remember, dark entities have been near. They lurk just inside my peripheral vision, just at the mirror's edge. When I close my eyes, I can actually feel them. Their cold breath, their oily touch, an occasionally feverish embrace. They want to be inside me. They want to rub against my guts and deposit their power. Others are drawn to me as well. Those I could use to master these dark things in order to serve their own agenda. Some of these interlopers, these usurpers, can be of use, such as my fellow hunters with whom I shared my home at Hargrave. And then there's others, like my coven, that I would best avoid. In either case, I am no one's object, tool, or weapon, and I am no mere bystander. My fate is my own to make, shape, and make.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Now we all get to populate your room in Hargrave House. Each of us gets to give you an item that will go in your room. And you can veto anything that you are not comfortable with or request changes. And every item we give you, you are going to document on your personal quarter section of your character sheet. Did anyone have anything in mind? It's okay if you don't.
I think being as involved in the occult as you are, I believe you have a small bookshelf in the corner of your room full of old tomes and notes you yourself have written about what research and experiences you have discovered thus far.
Wonderful.
Alright.
So some handwritten magical journals, or however you wish to phrase
Yeah.
it. If no one else has any ideas, I think I'd like to give you something important. I'd like to give you a sewing kit used for mending clothes and mending rips in reality. An old sewing kit with a lot of use.
Thank you, dear host.
Thing that you have a small hand mirror. It's a bit worn with age, but it's important to attempt to look your best. And if anything, it's a good reminder of what you truly look like.
Wonderful. An old mirror. They say eyes are the windows to the soul. You don't always get a chance to look at those for yourself.
No, not really.
Baxter?
I think... Oh, okay. I think there's a worn, maybe silver candelabra. I don't know if that's the exact word. Something that one could use to properly store, a large array of candles, and it has been empty for as long as you've had it.
So a large candelabra, silver, ornate, but forever empty, with the light that it is meant to bear.
Thank you.
Raffi, dear, are you comfortable with these, or would you like to change any of them?
No, I think I quite love these. They're lovely.
Wonderful, then. Then we will turn our attention to Clara more. Introduce yourself, please. Oh, no, wait, no, I'm a liar.
Hello?
It's not your
I
turn.
will not say hello.
Forgive me, Aleksander. How rude of me to forget you were here. You're a very important person, after all. In Hargrave House, at least.
Thank you, host. Yes, my name is Aleksander Van Ness, though I prefer Alec. The rest, I find, doesn't really matter much to me. I use he, him pronouns, and I am the legacy. I have a shaggy, almost worn blonde hair, a small dusting of freckles, and a scar across my jaw. My eyes are hidden by glasses that have been worn and scuffed. I wear a fisherman's sweater with a dark coat over top that has been sea-worn and distressed with weather or rain or other such possible fluids. As for who I am the legacy. While Hargrave House is filled with monster hunters, I was the only one who was born to do it. My parents, their parents, and their parents before them have known one thing: reveling in the destruction of ungodly beasts and carnivorous terrors. My family name has been whispered in secret meetings for generations, passed along to those in need of my hereditary talents. I was taught how to hold a blade when I was a child, and completed my first hunt not many years after that. My knowledge of combat and trapping is unparalleled, but I've grown disillusioned with my heritage. I would like to be more than just another entry in a long ledger of death. I want out. But I have one last score to settle first. A curse of sorts. A beast that's haunted me and my family for as long as anyone had remember.
How unfortunate.
Indeed.
Now it's time for us to populate your room. Does anyone have anything that comes to mind?
If I may start,
But of course.
you have a knife. You'll need to take care of it. I believe you have a large and extensive collection of whetstones.
Wonderful.
Excuse me. Wonderful. Does anyone else have a suggestion?
Do. I think you have a map of London. It's an old map, a bit out of date, but it has some important things marked on it from your family.
A old decorated map. Baxter.
I think. Oh,
No, you
I
go.
think there's a journal. I think not one you've written in personally. The journal aspect is a facade. Inside it is notes from different people in your family, potentially given to you on a day of significance. A quick reference of some past experiences the family has had in case you would encounter something of that level of danger. Maybe you pilfered it on your way to Hargrave House.
Wonderful. And I think what I'm going to give you is an ornate whalebone fishing hook. It's been carved with various runes of different kinds. It's clearly meant to be something magical, something significant.
Well,
Alec,
thank you. I accept these gifts.
wonderful. Now, Clara, I apologize for so rudely cutting you off before.
That's quite alright. Would you like me to talk now?
I'm requesting you to, yes.
Alright. My name is Clara Moore. I use she/her pronouns. And I am what you would refer to as a mother. In some ways. I have very piercing eyes hidden behind spectacles adorned with stones, and an old but still lovely dress, and hair that was once a very nice ginger color, but now is beginning to whiten prematurely. As for what I am doing at Hargrave House, few understand the mysteries of human anatomy like I do. I am one of the most brilliant medical minds in London, and I could take my place as a lecturer at any number of esteemed academies. But I have different ideas, different plans. I'm no longer interested in merely preserving life, but creating it. And so I will do what I must to survive, tending to the prostitutes dying of consumption, assisting Scotland Yard with grisly but forensic inquiry, and creeping about in the dark with these new people, these hunters with whom I share a home. But always I am focused on the new life growing in my secret womb, my child, the one I hope will capture even the faintest reflection of the person that I love and lost.
Loss is such a terrible thing, isn't it?
That it is.
And now it is time for us to populate your room. I think I will take the lead on this. I'm aware of your fondness for lilies. As such, I would like to gift to you a set of gardening tools. They're rusted and worn, but reliable. If that is something you are comfortable with.
It is.
Wonderful.
I believe if you are a doctor, any good doctor has their own set of medical tools, though this particular set has not been touched in some time. Be it they've gotten old and rusted, or perhaps they were never touched in the first place. I leave that up to you.
Very kind of you.
If I may,
Of course.
I believe... Well, I'm sure you're not just a doctor of medicine. I'm sure you might have other experience, and if you do, I believe a chemistry set would be very useful to you.
My only
I believe it will come in
suggestion
handy.
would it be adjusting chemistry to alchemy. Feels a bit more fitting of the time.
I think I can accept that.
If the lady
As can
so
I.
agrees. Wonderful.
I think you have a favorite book of the person you lost, with their notes in the margins and pages that even you refuse to look at.
My dear hunters are all big fans of literature.
Indeed.
It's hard to be... Well, hard not to be in this time of day.
And dear Clara, are you comfortable with these items?
I am.
Wonderful. And that leads us to our final member of Hargrave House, our little hunters. Baxter, I am aware that there is a beast roaming the halls for you, but when you are able, if you may introduce yourself.
I'm back.
There are many beasts.
There are many beasts that roam the halls of Hargrave House, for nowhere is truly safe.
Far too many for my liking.
They aren't so bad. They liven up the place.
To each their own.
But have you returned to us, dear Baxter?
I have.
Wonderful. Might you introduce yourself, please?
All right. So, my name is Baxter Shaw. I have a nose scar, a white streak in my hair, and a monocle with blackened glass. My vice is household mischief. And my playbook is the Factotum.
And might we get your pronouns, dear?
He, him.
Wonderful. And the rest of your introduction, if you please.
Yes. I had a life before I entered the service of my employer, but the details of that life are unimportant. All that matters now is the person I serve, in Hargrave House, where I will grow ancient and die if I'm lucky. More likely, my employer's colleagues, these hunters, will be the end of me, overturning things that should remain hidden and goading on terrors that dwell in dark places. I'll do my best to help them, of course, to keep them alive, because without them, who am I, really?
Wonderful. Now it is time to fill your quarters.
I believe you have a very old, ornate tea set that you've held onto and have forbidden me to touch as long as we have known each other, old friend.
So I do.
You have a pocket watch. It's nothing fancy, but it gets the job done, and it keeps time for you just fine, which is always useful in a place as busy as this.
Dare I say with you all, it's a necessity.
This might be old, but I might have seen a very lovely porcelain vase of yours. Nicely pure white, with blue markings and paintings upon it. But I've noticed it smashed a couple of times, and seen you put it back together with gold leaf paint. I'm not sure what it's for, but mayhaps you might clarify for us?
I believe some things are best left unsaid, but I am appreciative of your awareness on detail.
How kind and gracious of these hunters to give you such meaningful gifts, but I think it's my place as the host to remind you of your status. As a servant of Hargrave House, you are one who needs the tools to serve the house itself. You've come across a rather strange gift. A broom made of iron, save for the bristles. It's heavy, but durable, reliable, and, well, it's helpful in a pinch knowing what goes on around here.
I will never say no to a gift. It is impolite.
Truly. Are you comfortable with the items in your room?
Yes. Why wouldn't I be?
And I check with all of my hunters one final time before we properly get into the game. Are you comfortable with the items that you have been gifted and granted?
I am.
Yes.
Yes.
I am very much so, yes.
Grab something. I have one more thing I need to read. Hargrave House is an old Gothic revival-style building. It stands out from its neighbors on Belgrave Square, which are done in more conventional classical styles. Hargrave House is also different because it's not just a residence, but a place of work. Dark work. And some more of that dark work has just landed on the doorstep. I introduce to you all our first threat. The St. James's Street Ghost. A back issue of the Illustrated Police News, a tabloid notorious for carrying salacious, blood-curdling tales of dubious provenance, has the story about a young maid, Ginny Hess, who was found dead, apparently from shock, in her employer's St. James's Street townhouse some months ago. The story claims that the townhouse is haunted, and that it was almost certainly the appearance of a ghost that caused the young maid to die of fright. After a cursory inquiry, you learn the precise address of the haunting, 18 St. James's Street, and the name of the family that lives there, the Beals. Alec. Most tales of hauntings are complete nonsense, especially those carried by the Illustrated Police News. But Hargrave House has some experience with ghosts, and a particular detail in this story confirms that this is a legitimate haunting worth looking into. What is that detail?
Although the constables did not view it important, they still had within their notes of the first investigation that the air was cold. Much, much colder than it should be for this time of year.
That it was ice cold in the house at the time of the murder. Well,
A telltale
who's to say
sign of
the
any
murder?
haunting.
Could have been anything.
Remains to be seen.
But it is enough for you hunters to feel that it is something to look into. As for setting, I actually do know around what time of year it is. It is early March. The snows are still coming, but more infrequent. The frost that has previously covered everything is just beginning to melt. Spring will be coming soon, hopefully. We have officially entered the day phase. The day phase is yours. The vibes should be languid and relaxed. It is your chance to investigate the mystery, or do whatever else you are interested in doing around London. You are a group, so you do not need to discuss the fact that you are investigating this threat together. It is assumed that you all know that this is the steps you are taking forward. But if you wish to discuss as a group in a scene, I highly encourage you to do so. In this moment, I am at your beck and call.
Thank you, kind host. Well, I suppose I have gathered you all here. If you have read the paper, then I assume you know what's ahead of us then.
I believe so, yes.
And shall we depart, or does anyone else have things they need to accomplish before we begin our investigation?
I am ready to investigate.
I am simply at your call.
I believe I'm ready as well.
Wonderful. Let's head off then.
Alec, you lead everyone through London. Tell me, are you all heading straight for St. James's Street?
I would imagine, unless we have any other errands to run. I don't have anything myself.
Was there anything in the paper that implied a secondary location of interest?
That is up to you to decide. You need not only investigate the location. You could go anywhere. Popular locations like libraries in Hargrave, either in Hargrave House or otherwise on the nature of the supernatural. Perhaps you're interested in mortuary records and the like, though you are all welcome to start by investigating the house. I would like to let you know that the world is your oyster, and you can traverse it however you'd like. Though I certainly cannot say no to you all traveling as a pack for the start of it at the very least.
Right.
I suppose it would make things simpler as we dip our toes.
I like this plan. I think it's a good one. Please lead on.
The house it is.
All right. I'm going to let you know a bit of information about this before we start officially. Your job is to dispose of the ghost in this house, the threat that is haunting it. To be able to do that, you need to answer the questions, which will open up opportunities. You do that by gathering clues using the information move or otherwise. You all have the reference sheet. The questions that you are answering, the first one with a complexity of 4 is which part of the house is the ghost attached to? I will not tell you what this is, but pursuing this quest with a complexity of 4 will unlock you a custom move, though you do not get to know what this move is until you successfully answer the question. The other question, the one that allows you the opportunity to resolve this threat, is how can we get this ghost to pass on to the next world? By answering that question specifically, you are presented with the opportunity to resolve the threat during the night phase. You can do both of these questions if you would like, or only the second one. And that can be decided at a later date. I will also inform you all that of your Janus masks, there is now an extra one at play. There is the Mask of the Unquiet. At any point when you would be using a normal Janus mask, you can choose to instead use the mask for this threat. When one hunter uses it, no one else can. But do not be afraid to, as when one hunter uses it, everyone has to narrate the attached narrative, we'll call it.
All right.
Okay.
Let me change the music. We've been listening to this for a bit. How does this sound? I will be transparent. I have many a song at my disposal, and I don't know what they all sound like. Oh, this one's nice. I like this one. Let me simply adjust for the players to be able to hear.
A lovely piece.
Checking one more thing real quick. Forgive me. Wonderful.
We are at mercy of your timing, dear host.
We are not going anywhere.
You will all head to the St. James's townhouse. And as you approach, which one of you do you think is the most alert in this moment? Who, before even making it to the house, who do you feel is paying the most attention to the surrounding area?
I would imagine it would be Alec, considering his history with these sorts of things.
Sure, then I will be on edge, so to speak.
Alec, as you are traveling, you notice as you get close to the townhouse, it's in sight, you're on the street, a woman intently watching you all from a little seat she has. She's currently knitting. It's a woman with streaks of gray in her hair, wearing a far too tight corset. And she has her eyes just set on all of you with keen interest. She's even leaning in a little.
Good day then, my lady.
Oh, good heavens me! Was I staring? Oh, you'll have to forgive me.
It is quite all right. May we help you with anything?
Oh, no, but well, maybe. I'm ever so curious. Just what an interesting group of folks like you would be doing on St. James's Street. Come here, young man, come here. I can't get a good look at you from so far away.
Alec will begrudgingly cross the street to meet her and sort of look back at everyone for a more conversational assistance.
She adjusts her large spectacles, just like, oh my, a strapping young man. What are you doing here?
Yes, my compatriots and I have been hired, so to speak, to look into the happenings of this house.
Of this house? Well, my house is fine. Which house are you referring to? It wouldn't happen to be the house on the 16th, would it?
I believe, it is 18th. St. James's Street, correct?
Alex, I
Yes.
think you might be failed. I think it was the 20th.
Oh, my apologies. How
You're
forgetful.
befuddling me. No, it is 18th. That's the one. That's the one where the girl died, isn't it? You're looking into the hauntings, aren't you?
We might be.
Oh,
Is there
That's a...
anything you know?
Who said anything about a haunting?
No one said anything about anything, but, you know, there are rumors. I'm just a concerned member of the community who's maybe been keeping her ear to the ground, maybe not.
Who's to say?
Who's to say?
What
How?
does the footsteps on the ground tell you, madame?
She kind of twirls her hair a bit with the little knitting needle she has. Just like, I mean, why should I? Could I? What do I know? Raffi, were you looking to get, would you like to use an information move? Would you like to try to roll to get information out of this woman?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me see. We're all learning this together.
Yes, this is a new experience for all of us.
I wouldn't call this a day move. I would just call this an information move. So when you search for a clue, conduct research, or otherwise gather information, describe how you're doing so and roll with the appropriate ability. I believe I'm going to have you roll with presence, as I believe that is the role we use for charisma.
Okay.
The charisma equivalent, rather. Just double checking.
That sounds reasonable.
So what you are going to do is you're going to roll 2d6, and we are going to add those together. And you're going to add your presence modifier as well. Or subtract
Alright.
if it is negative.
Bollocks. Ugh. That would be a 4.
Oh, goodness me. That would
Yeah.
be a fail. So then you don't get a clue. I don't think there's I don't think I give you a condition for a failed information move. I'm
I do
double
not see
checking.
one.
I'm seeing if there's a punishment. Give me one quick moment. I have to double check.
Of course.
I
Can't
do
let
believe you're in the
crime
clear.
Yeah, I would hope I don't get punished for making a mistake here.
go. Not this
Although
early.
I would like to let you know, you can always put on a Janus mask. If you are interested in bumping this up to, it would be a partial success, a clue, but yes, a clue with a complication. And you would, of course, then have to mark a mask that would bump it up, but you do not have to. You are free to keep the result as is, and simply wait to get a clue somehow else, some way else.
eh. Well, a gilded door is tempting. I wouldn't want to steal that so early. I will take the loss
You'll take the loss.
this time around, if that's okay with everyone.
We'll find
It's
more
entirely up
information.
to you.
And of course, you have
Yes,
your
I don't think
masks
that
of the
this is
past.
terrible.
Of course.
But yes, this woman, who I realized I forgot to have her introduce herself. That's on me. Kind of scrunches her nose at you. She's like, "Oh, good heavens, woman, you're ghastly. No. You haven't even been to the house yet. I don't think you have anything to offer me for me to offer you in return."
City. Well, I'd never.
Well, I'm a respecting member of this community, and you clearly are not. Go investigate the house, and then maybe I'll have something to talk to you about.
Well then, thank you for your time, madame. And Alec will usher Raffi away. I thought I called you over to help, my dear.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. We'll more than wake up for it, I'm sure.
You arrive to 18th St. James's Street. Who's knocking on the door? I think I'm gonna remove Alec as an option, as he was the person who spoke to, the woman's name was Constance, by the way. Miss Constance Head, I believe? Yes, Constance
I do
Head.
not mind being the one to greet with pleasantries.
So,
It seems like something in your wheelhouse.
Please do.
Right. I will present us well then.
so you knock on the door, I assume?
Absolutely.
There's a couple of moments of silence. You realize that without any servants in the house, any maids at least, that they probably don't have someone watching the door like you normally would, Baxter. But eventually you hear the running pitter-patter of little feet. And You hear a bit of struggling as the door opens, and a little boy in a little sailor's outfit with round cheeks opens the door, and goes, "Oh, you're here! Who the bloody hell are you?"
Oh, my apologies. Are you expecting someone, my friend?
My friends? I know who the fuck you are!
Oh,
Quite the-
my.
Quite the mouth on you, little one, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm 9 years old now. I'm learning how to swear.
I see.
As any young man should.
Quite.
The
Well,
smelly man gets it. Now what in the blimey fuck you all doing here?
my name is Baxter Shaw. I am the representative for Hargrave House, and I am here to, along with this cohort, investigate any strange happenings at your abode.
Strange happenings? You're here for the ghost tours. Me mates tell you about it. I was supposed to be giving them the tour today. I guess if you want a tour of the house, even if you're
I feel
weird.
that would be quite advisable. Thank you, my friend.
We would love a ghost tour.
Who are you
Now,
calling
tell me,
friend?
Well, I suppose I don't know your name. Perhaps you could remedy this?
Oh. Roger Beale. Mom says
Mr.
I need to introduce myself.
Yes, a wise woman. Now, young Master Beale, I would love to be graced with the chance to see your astonishing abode.
You talk funny. Well, if you're here for the toast tour, come on in.
All right, then.
And you enter into the front room. The first of two main rooms on the ground floor contains a small library and enough seating for the family and a few visitors. And we are now getting our first paint the scene question. Tell me, hunters, each one of you gets to answer this question. What in this room indicates that the Beals are living a little bit above their station?
I believe all of the furniture in this front room is far too matching to have been collected over a lifetime. This whole room is a matching set that was purchased at once.
There are books in languages that, perhaps they don't know how to read. There are many languages of books, but the ones that are in different languages are pushed to the sides or clearly have collected the most dust.
So they're collecting things because they look nice, not because they actually read
Have any
them.
use. Mm-hmm. The book club says this is popular.
There is a piano in the corner. However, it looks very nice, but upon close inspection, it is made very cheap.
So it's not actually something fine and ornate, but it's to look fine and ornate.
Exactly.
If you were to look above on the ceiling frames that support it, you might notice intricate carvings or detailings of floral patterns. Obviously the work of a master craftsman.
Ooh, interesting. And as young Roger Beale leads you into the room, he's picking his nose, kind of looking around. And he looks up at you. at you all. It's like, so, I didn't know the maid much myself when she died, but she's definitely a ghost now. She's definitely haunting the place. That's what everyone says. Definitely.
Have you seen anything?
I mean, I see lots of things. Got
What's the
big
strangest thing you've seen?
I would call this searching for a clue. Asking for information from young Roger.
All right.
So, tell me, what do you want to roll? How are you trying to do this? The default for this, I think, would be presence, as you're trying to convince him, unless there is something else that you are trying to argue for.
I would perhaps though remind me of its usefulness, I would perhaps try to argue sensitivity in the sense that trying to engage in the imagination and excitement of a young child.
So you're less trying to... Sensitivity is something specifically used for the supernatural, so you're less trying to... Are you trying to use that to, say, channel, like, the energy of the house, listening for what he's saying, trying to see if there's anything of actual use?
Just to be supernatural in nature, perhaps.
All right, I will give you that. Since we're at the beginning and I'm feeling kind, roll me sensitivity.
I appreciate it. All right.
An information move plus sensitivity.
Information move plus sensitivity. That is a 7.
A 7. And of course I have to ask if you would like to use a Janus mask to make that a full success, or if you would like to take a clue with a complication.
I think since I made it extraneous for myself, I will take the complication.
Wonderful. And he starts yapping. I'll explain what the complication is in a moment.
Of course.
And still picking his nose, he's like, well, lots of things have been happening in the house. Remember, everyone was talking about it being cold that day, but of course it was cold. It was a couple months ago, and, you know, the seasons were changing, but, ever since that happened, I've been having these weird dreams about people fighting, but not like me mates fighting, like, weird people, like, it's hard to explain, and, the clue that I'm giving you is a vivid dream about violence between two unknown people from a different era. As Roger is talking, the more he yaps, the more that you kind of... He's a bit more specific and particular about the details of that dream, whereas everything else can be hand-waved. The dream specifically is more particular. As for your complication, I think I know what I would like to do. You hear barking. As a dog appears, a greyhound, and it notices you, and it sees you talking, and this dog that already seemed to have its hackles raised starts barking at you and getting very hostile. Your complication is that this dog is seemingly trying to pick a fight.
Understandable. Alec will...
Nope, not yet.
Apologies.
Clara. While this is going on, what are you doing?
I think that I am looking around the room, initially just to appear interested. to see if there's any common interests between me and family that we could talk about to small talk before we get into business. But there also could be something in this room, so particularly looking at any sort of knick-knack around the room, or perhaps the piano, or perhaps the bookshelves, not the books themselves, but looking around the room trying to find anything in particular that seems out of the ordinary.
Anything that seems out of the ordinary. All right. So that would certainly be an information move. Or did you have any particular skill in mind?
I did not have one in mind.
Then I'm going to have you roll. Double checking what everything does. I scrolled past it. I'm wonderful at this.
You're doing wonderful, dear host.
I will have you roll composure, as this is to... Or it could be reason. Are you more concentrating and trying to remain calm, or are you being meticulous? Make an argument for composure or reason for me.
I think that I'm being very meticulous. I think that I'm looking through every single item. I'm not terribly concerned at this point. There isn't anything that has put me on edge yet. So I am more just trying to get a lay of the land before the parents arrive.
So reason?
Yeah.
Roll me an information move using reason.
That is an 8.
An 8. A clue with a complication. Would you like to invoke Janus Mask to bump that up?
No.
Understood.
Because I'm curious what would happen.
As you are looking through these, you said you were looking specifically at the knickknacks?
Yeah, all of the random things that are gathered in the room.
You look at this one, and it's filled with various knickknacks, clearly a part of a set, as established previously. And there's various glass animals, and you look them over, and you nod, and you walk, and you move over to look at the piano, and as you do, a glass figurine of a tiger falls off of a shelf and shatters. And that is your clue, and there is no draft in here, and you were confident that the cabinet it was in previously was completely closed. You did not touch the clasp to open it. But for whatever reason, the little glass tiger falls off and shatters.
Oh my. I'm terribly sorry. Let me just And then she realizes I do not want to touch that. I will get something to clean that. Dreadfully sorry.
I'm going to give you a condition. I think that will be your complication.
Alright.
Guilty conscience. As it seems that you seem to think that you broke that. Or at least you seem to feel bad that you aren't cleaning it. Does that seem fair to you?
That does.
As the dog is barking, you hear a voice. Oh, goodness me, what's gotten Pythagoras in a fit? Pythagoras! Pythagoras! And you see a woman walk in. She's wearing a simple tartan dress, holding her dress up. She looks tired. She's beautiful and sweet, but tired. And she notices you all, and she notices Roger, who is, still yapping loudly, and just kind of blinks in surprise. Oh, goodness me, welcome to my home, strangers.
Pardon our intrusion, madame.
Roger, what did you do? And he's like, there for the ghost tour! For the... Oh, goodness. Did he drag you all in here? I'm terribly sorry. Alice Beale. At your service.
A pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Tis a pleasure.
Quite, or at least it would be if you would kindly get your dog off of me.
You're a little predisposed with dog. She is less worried about the dog, as she does not know if you are all a threat yet.
Understandable.
I think she looks at Baxter, as he is the most put together person here.
Fair.
She kind of approaches you. She's like, hello. Did my son drag you in here? I'm terribly sorry if he did.
It's quite alright. We had intent to take a look around, as it were. We are invested in these sorts of situations, but your son gave us a direction that we thought was the house's wish, if as it were, and we happily complied.
Pardon? You'll have to forgive me. Could you speak in plainer terms?
If the ghost tour was how you all were making business for yourselves, we would have happily done so instead of snooping around on our own without awareness.
Oh, goodness. No. That's Roger. It's a game he plays with his schoolmates. Oh, goodness me. Ghost tour, though, if you're interested that, I can only assume that you're inquiring about what happened to poor Ginny.
We have some interest in that, yes. We don't mean to intrude too harshly upon your homestead, however.
No, it's quite alright. It's quite alright. It was a few months ago, but I still think about the poor dear every day. Poor thing.
I'm sorry to hear that it was such a tragic circumstance.
It's not every day a woman dies of shock in your own home. And I'm
I suppose.
And with my children here, I cannot help but worry.
Shock. That's all that we had from the papers. It was apparently a murder.
Actually, the papers did say it was shock. I
did
up
it?
and said it was murder. It was. I will read again. You heard a story about a young maid, the name of Ginny Hess, who was found dead, apparently from shock, in her employer St. James's Street townhouse some months ago. And it is believed that it was the appearance of a ghost that caused her to die from fright.
Okay. Oh, I see now. My mistake. Well.
Well, yes, that's quite a terrifying prospect. If we could remove that risk from the continued life you lead here, we would be happy to.
You believe my house is actually haunted?
That
We
is
are-
what we're here to.
Yes,
Sorry, but Mr. Scholl, if I may.
of course.
That's what we're here to answer. We're what you might call experts on the subject.
Oh, goodness.
Should there be no issue, then you can live in peace, knowing that what happened was a tragic aberration. Otherwise, we can excise the problem for you.
I can't say my husband will be too happy about this, but I've been waiting for someone, anyone, to look into this. Scotland Yard was barely any help. Please. Please. Come, I'll give you a tour of the house.
Alright.
And she will take Raffi and Baxter, kind of leaving behind Clara and Alec. Alec!
Yes.
I think you're going to be our first day move.
Oh boy.
When you do something risky or face something you fear, name what you're afraid of will happen. If you fail or lose your nerve, then roll with the appropriate ability, as you are currently being faced with a anxious, growling, barking dog. What are you afraid of happening in this moment?
I think I have been trained all my life to rid of beasts, and I fear that in the adrenaline of the panicked state of being hounded so that, well, an accident might happen to this poor family pet.
Oh, goodness. Alright, then I'm going to have you roll composure.
Okay.
Because you are essentially... You are not worried about what the dog will do to you, or rather...
I'm worried about what I might do to the
what
dog.
you might do to this dog.
That is a 6.
Ooh, that is a fail. Then that means that you are going to kill this dog. And you are going to take the condition blood on your hands. And it will permanently, it will turn the members of this house against you. Would you like to use a mask?
I think I shall use a mask.
Which mask are you using?
I will use my Mask of the Past.
Your first Mask of the Past. This will bump it to a partial success, though I first get to narrate what was going to happen. As this dog panics, you enter into your own state, and there's a moment of a stalemate before this dog charges at you, and quickly, not even thinking about it, you pull out your knife and you drive it into the beast's back, to the horror of everyone. But that is not the reality we live in. Would you like to narrate your first Mask of the Past now, or would you like to save it for some time?
I do not mind narrating it now.
Alright. Then please, narrate to us a flashback to your childhood that shows the first hunt you went on, and what about it disturbed you?
I believe that in a moment the dog sort of flinches, and Alec is brought back to the time when he was a young boy. younger than Roger, perhaps half his age. Maybe 4, maybe 5. Time is a fickle thing, and it can be hard to remember such certainties. We are aboard a fishing boat out on the ocean, and a young boy, Alec, is being taught how to fish with what appear to be his 2 elder sisters and a old man with a long, scruffy salt and pepper beard. The sea has been quiet today, but Alec appeared to have gotten lucky, and his line had caught a fish, and as he goes to reel it in, his sisters help him, and he does so, and it's quite a small thing, but in comparison to the children, it is large and imposing. But the fish is let loose from the line and flops around pathetically aboard the deck, when the old man, Aleksander Sr., hands a knife to Alec himself and tells him to kill it, for it will be their dinner. And it scares him to do so. He had gotten far too wrapped up in the excitement and euphoria of the moment that the reality of what they were doing had not settled in yet. His hesitation is noticed, and his grandfather puts a firm hand on his shoulder and directs him where to point his knife. And in the end, after a long moment and a deep breath, he does so. It is sloppy, but the wiggling fish ceases to move anymore, and Alec is dejected for the rest of the day. The worst part of all of this, the most disturbing thing, is that, well, luckily the rest of the fishing day went slightly better. They did not end up needing this small thing, after all, and a life was taken unnecessarily in the eyes of a young boy. And I think that moment of a creature, a beast being innocent, is what snaps Alec out of that possible reality and causes him to regain his composure.
You do so, regaining your composure, snapping back to reality. But unfortunately, just as the dog flinched, you flinch as well, and are unable to protect yourself as the dog bites onto your hand, a warning before running away and whimpering. You are going to take the condition bleeding hand.
All right, I accept this. I will hold it tightly and wrap it in the hem of my coat.
Well,
For
at
now,
that
at least,
point, you'd
until it
have
is-
to.
Until it is better prepared.
Clara,
Alec.
please speak.
She just comes up to Alec and is like, we're going to have to get that checked out.
Yes,
Sooner rather than later.
I know. Thank you for your concern, Miss Moore. I will be alright. It was merely a warning on the dog's part. I'll live.
As long as you see to it.
It will be done. Would not want anything festering.
On the topic, Clara. What would you
Yes.
like to do? If anything, you can, of course, take Alec with you. The two are together.
The other two have gone along with Alex, but is Roger still here?
Yes.
I think that Clara, she kneels down in front of Roger and tries to say as kindly as possible, "If you don't mind, I'm still rather interested in that ghost tour. Do you think we could skip to the place where she died?"
Oh, okay. You like getting to the good stuff, don't you, lady?
I admit it's a little bit intriguing.
And he starts to guide you. One moment, I'm just reading. Okay. Apologies.
You're right.
Okay, it does not actually say where. So I think he takes you to the bedrooms. There are 4 bedrooms in total on the second floor, 1 for each. Harold, Alice, Roger, and the guests. He's taking you all to the hallway that connects these rooms, but tell me, hunters, paint the scene with me. What about these rooms unnerves you?
Just for clarification, is that all of us, or is that only going to be
That's
Claire
all
and
of
Alex?
you. When I am asking for a paint the scene, that is not related to a specific hunter, an unseen. It is a question I am asking all of you.
Understood.
Apologies.
No worries.
I believe the bedroom specifically for clarification. Or the house in general.
The bedrooms.
The bedroom.
The question is, there are 4 bedrooms in total on the second floor, 1 for each. Harold, Alice, Roger, and guests. Harold being the head of the house. What about these rooms unnerves you?
I think each room is perfectly color coordinated. One is green, one is blue, one is a darker blue, and the last one is white. And every curtain, every blanket, every lampshade matches the color perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
something that I noticed is if you're standing in the hall and you can see all four doors, if you aren't actually paying attention, you could miss one of them. It's so nestled away, as if it's not supposed to be seen. As if it doesn't want to be seen.
Interesting.
There are no locks on any of the bedroom doors.
And Baxter?
I think the rooms all have windows, and they are all opened to the exact same length. Not a centimeter off. There's only a crack, but that crack open is the same crack open on every single one.
Fascinating. And Roger leads you all here and starts pointing. I heard it was in this hallway. I was sleeping over a mate's house, so I'm not sure. But I think she died right here. Just
Interesting.
fucking dead.
I see. Very grisly.
Indeed. Is there anything within the spot that she died that appears out of place or otherwise otherworldly?
I'm actually going to look to Clara for this.
Of course. By all means,
No,
be
you're
blind.
fine. I was going to do something very similar.
My hand is bleeding. I'm not much help.
I can take it for a moment then. Yes, in particular, looking obviously it has been some month, so there will not be anything immediately obvious. Or perhaps there will. Anything that is anything that could not be moved. Whether it's frost or burn marks, or the carpet is stained, or anything like that. Things that are difficult to get.
Roll me, then. Reason. It's an information move.
That is a 6.
A failure. Would you like to put on a Janus mask?
I know what would happen first.
Yes. Also, my poor hunters, you all need new dice. Goodness me.
We are.
Perhaps.
Luck is not on our side, it seems.
No, it's just not with us.
I
No.
think... I think there will be a complication. I won't give you another condition, but I think the room grows cold and there's this feeling of dread that will encompass it. I think the house will become unwelcome to you.
And if I bump it up, become a clue with a complication.
Yes.
We do need more clues.
What mask would you like to put on?
I will put on my first mask of the past.
We will resolve that in a moment, as I would like to give our other hunters a moment of attention.
Of
Though
course.
do prepare that, and I will choose the clue and figure out the complication in the meantime. Baxter, Raffi,
Yes.
Yes.
as Alice is leading you through the house, she's explaining more. And I think Baxter, as you're walking by one of these rooms, you see a rocking chair. And you see, sitting in it, what looks like you.
Fascinating, okay. Are we staying in the space with this rocking chair, or are we just blinking moving past it?
You're walking by, but Alice doesn't seem to notice.
I might take a moment to stop and peer in.
You stop to peer in, and you see yourself rocking in this chair.
I will walk up to myself.
I'm going to have you roll composure. Because as you approach this other you, it will scream. What are you afraid will happen when you talk to this version of you, this other you, and it screams?
I am afraid I am afraid that when I go and speak to this version of myself, that it will scream and alert them other people in the house that I have gone off the beaten path, and that the tour giver, as it were, will lose some respect or trust in my efforts.
Wonderful. Then roll me. I'll give you the choice. You can either roll composure to not lose yourself, or I think I will also allow sensitivity if you are trying to reassure yourself that this is but a specter and that you're the only person who can hear it.
I will go with composure. 8.
8. Wonderful. That is a success with a complication, I believe. Yes. Okay, the Keeper will tell you how your actions would leave you vulnerable, and you can choose to back down or go through with it. If you go through with it, the Keeper describes what it looks like. Yes. If you keep this roll, if you do not use a Janus mask, you will not alert the rest of the house of what is happening. But I think you will gain the condition haunted. as the ghost will have turned its attention to you.
I think I'm okay with that. I think that's very interesting.
Then the ghost screams, startling you, before disappearing, or, well, this illusion. And you are given the chance to rejoin, a bit rattled and with the clear feeling that you are being watched. I think Alice didn't notice that you departed, but Raffi did.
I'll hang back just a little and whisper, "Are you alright, Mr. Shaw? You look shaken up."
To tell you that I am unshaken would be a lie, my friend. I believe I saw a haunting of myself.
Interesting.
It wailed at me, and thankfully no one was alerted. But I cannot shake the feeling that I have been targeted, so it were.
If we must return to the house, would you allow me to look at you?
I trust your abilities quite heartedly, so if you would be willing, I will happily accept.
Speaking of, if we find where the maid's body was, I'd like you to take Miss Alice out of the room. I need to do some communion.
I will find a way to make that happen for you.
And with that, I think we're going to cut back to Clara. Clara, in this moment in which the house grows cold and dark, and you feel a pressure, you notice something. You notice that young Roger's appearance seems to change, and that he seems subtly but noticeably older, as if he's aged a bit before your eyes. That is your clue. And the complication is that the house is cold and dark and unwelcoming. Now you have a mask to narrate.
I do.
So tell us, Clara. Apologies, but why don't you narrate? Because you lost someone very important to you. Who are they? Name them.
This is not a flashback that occurs, it is more of a... just a moment. As they were walking through the house, Clara was looking at various things within the bedrooms, was idly engaging Roger just to keep him focused on what he was doing, and other small things like that. And she happens to notice in one of the bedrooms that the closet has been left open, and there is a very nice dress. And she smiles for a moment, then frowns, and continues walking. But she thinks for a moment that her sister Ophelia may have liked. She would have worn something like that.
sister. Fascinating. As you zone back in, as you remember yourself, you shudder and shiver, as Roger doesn't seem aware of the changes to himself or to the room around you.
Oi, lady! You paying attention?
Oh. Sorry, yes, of course. I was just so, interested in your home. And all of the details. My, it's a bit cold, isn't it?
I didn't notice anything wrong. You're weird.
So I've been told.
I should probably continue the tour. Get out. But where do I take you next?
Mr.
Well,
Mr. Van
Yes.
Ness, do you have a place you'd like to go?
Yes, well, we've seen the front room and the bedrooms. How about the kitchen?
Well, it's down in the basement. Okay.
And
Kitchen's in the basement.
he starts leading you there.
All right.
More walking then.
There's actually a moment where you pass by the other group. A funny little meeting in the middle moment.
How's your half of the ghost tour going? Appears they are busy. Carry on then, Roger.
We forgot we were muted.
Sorry.
You're all right.
It looks like you've had a bit of a experience.
Yes. Things were interesting. I will relay what I told Raffi to the others. And do so in a way to hopefully not alert the other members of the house.
So the ghost is confirmed then. We'll keep an eye out.
Right.
I think at this point, Alice kind of looks a bit panicked and she looks at the clock. Actually, pardon a moment, Roger. It's getting a bit late and my husband will be home soon. I do not think it would be wise for you all to... I would like to broach the subject of you all investigating with him before we continue. Might you all return tomorrow? And I wished for you all to continue your investigation into what happened to dear Ginny. But not today. Tomorrow, please.
That's quite alright. You are more aware of your timekeeping needs than we are, so we shall follow your lead.
Yes, we would not want to intrude as your guests.
I'll broach the subject and we can pick up where we left off tomorrow.
Right.
Very well. It's not ideal, but I shall respect the homeowner's wish.
I apologize.
If
That was
anything
good.
strange happens in the night, or otherwise you need to contact us, we are at the Hargrave House, if we can assist you.
I will.
If the name of the home is unfamiliar, I will happily leave any location on a written piece of paper if you have it.
Thank you, kindly. And you are...
He writes the address. Sorry,
Yes.
he writes the address and hands it back.
No, she takes it. And you are all gently ushered out of the house. As I think it would be fun to initiate a dusk phase into the night phase to give you a bit of a taste of everything that the game has to offer.
Of course.
Alright.
No threat
Okay.
needs to be completed in a day. Let me change the music. It's a bit too peaceful for what we have planned. That's a bit much.
That's a bit much. That was a bit much.
Sorry about that.
Forgive me. No, you're fine. I maybe did not get the chance to look through all of the music. So I'm flying a little blind.
That's all right.
Yes, I'm enjoying this vibe so far.
This one is good.
I will turn it down a touch, however. There we go. The dusk phase. Right before the night phase, we must resolve any playbook moves or custom moves that are revolved around the dusk phase. Do any of you have anything that happens to apply?
Skimming through, I do not see anything.
No, not at present.
That's fine.
No.
I do not see anything.
Next I must pull up Hargrave House, as I'm going to give you all a paint the scene question surrounding it. Why is this so zoomed out? I would like this to be zoomed in. I think we'll start with something to match everything else. The reception hall. Do you feel unsettled or at home when you enter Hargrave House? What do you perceive in the reception hall that reinforces this feeling? And this is a paint the scene that you are all being asked.
I think that, personally at least, Alec does find comfort in this house. Things are messier, but in a different way that he is used to. It's less scattered notes and weapons hanging from the walls, but just general mess of a house that's lived in. A chair that would be usually kept under a table that sits by the door is not in its proper place. There's some coats that have been left on the table instead of the coat hooks right beside. Just a bit of general lived-inness that is homey, I suppose.
I think Baxter finds a good deal of comfort in Hargrave House, in so much as he has, in his mind, become a fundamental part of it. He feels connected to something when he's inside. And I think something that reinforces that feeling is that when he first came into the house, he put in the entry area a little side table for people to put down their immediate belongings and anything they need to just drop for the moment and come back to. And ever since it's been set there, that table has never moved. And there's something affirming to his work and his usefulness every time he sees that no one has moved it aside.
Can you reread the unseen just to make sure that I have this correct?
This is not the unseen.
Sorry, the reception hall prom.
Yes. Bum. Do you feel unsettled or at home when you enter Hargrave House? What do you perceive in the
I do not think that Clara feels. She does not feel good about entering Hargrave House. It's a very large house, but it's a very empty house. It's full of hunters, it's full of legacy, it's full of stories, but it's very empty. And it feels too large. And in the entry, there are very, very long curtains that cover the windows. They are oversized curtains, and it just adds to, and they are curtains that can block out any light if they are not drawn, if they are drawn. And it unnerves her. It just adds to the darkness, largeness of the place.
And finally, Raffi.
I don't believe... I'm not a fan of this place. Looking at the furniture, looking at the banister, the railing across the stairs, it's all so worn down. It's been used so many more times beforehand, and yet, despite that, it's unexplained. People have been here before, and people will probably be here after. But their stories don't... The only marks that are left by them are the ones of wear and tear across it.
Wonderful. Now, I'm going to ask each of you what your plans for the night phase will be. You can continue to investigate for clues, you can engage in vulnerable moves and indulge in your vices. Some of you may have particular tasks you go out and do during the cover of night. But I'm going to ask each player what their plan is, and after everyone says what their current idea is to spend their night, we can then give everyone a chance to readjust.
I believe that Baxter is going to go speak to Raffi, as she requested, and then see to tending to the house.
And, so are you looking to engage in the vulnerable move? Is this just looking to do some housework around Hargrave House? Or are you looking for clues?
Mostly housework around Hargrave House, and to, potentially... I suppose if the healing or whatever aspect of things that Raffi was looking into would count for the vulnerable move, then I think that would be fine. Because in Baxter's is the only character I can request a scene with for the purposes of
Oh, okay.
vulnerable move.
I was unaware.
Yeah, but that's the only I can request of my employer. Other people can request
Yes,
of me.
you cannot request anyone, so you'll be talking to Raffi. I can work with that. I can work with you simply intending to work around the house. I can give you something to do.
If you view Raffi being the one who asked as they are,
I would not.
Okay.
That would it is you can talk to her. You can have that scene. Though remember, the night phase is something that is quick and snappy and climactic. So we'll see if you even get the chance.
Mm-hmm.
Who's next?
I'm going to go look for body parts for the child.
Wonderful. So then you will be leaving Hargrave House on a hunt for parts.
Mm-hmm.
I would go talk to Clara about healing my hand, but I suppose I will have to find my own way of fixing that on my own, it seems.
You can always engage in your vice to clear conditions.
Then perhaps I will be out for one more hunt.
I would be fine with you doing that. But I would also be fine with readjusting that. I did forget that I did imply that that you should get that checked out. If
you can
Alec
also
would
always save it for the day phase.
Sure,
That is
I do not mind.
Just to inform you of all your options.
I will... Apologies, there's not a list of things to choose from. It is quite intimidating.
I can also, to be clear, I can go and collect.
You can what, apologies?
I can collect body parts at any time. It does not have to be a nightmare.
I see. I will, you know what, I will do some, research on my own, and I will worry about getting my cuts healed up properly in the morning. I'll continue to do some investigation on, the ghosts, and the matter at hand.
All right.
Perhaps in Hargrave House's personal library.
And Raffi, what are you planning on doing tonight?
As much as I would like to help Baxter immediately, I think Raffi will end up going for a walk. And I will be invoking a beacon in the dark. One of my playbook moves.
And what does that do, my friend?
When I go on a walk through the streets of London at night, my consciousness spreads across the city like a vast spiderweb. I roll a sensitivity, and I am immediately confronted by a threat or personified danger related to the threat. And I can ask 2 questions from the list below.
Fascinating.
Where is your lair?
Oh,
Where is your lair?
We will address that when we get to it. I just needed to know the basics. We can worry about the specifics when we get to that moment. I dropped my papers. Goodness me. And now it is time for me to introduce the unseen and bring us into the night phase. I have it marked off. Here we go. We are going to be going with the dinner party. Eric Taylor has a good job as a clerk, and with his wife Abigail, they form the very picture of the respectable new Victorian middle class. Behind the lace curtain of their terrace home, they are throwing a small dinner party for equally respectable friends, the Davenports. The Taylor's daughter Maud plays piano passively in the parlor before dinner is served. Who shall go first? Raffi, paint the scene. Ask the Taylors and can you... I don't read this. You read this. I got confused. Apologies. You should be able to pull up the unseen. It is the dinner party prompt.
Okay.
And I need you to read and then answer that first paint the scene question for me, please.
As the Taylors and the Davenports enter the dining room, what do we see that shows the Taylors have made their best efforts to impress? How do we know the Davenports are a run above them in terms of wealth and prestige? I would say the Taylors have brought out their best platters, a shining and polished silver set that they had purchased from a vendor at the upper end of London. However, the Davenports, in a show of power, Lord Davenport has brought his platinum watch chain and is constantly adjusting his coat so that the chain shines brightly in the lights above. While Mrs. Davenport adjusts her cut steel brooch inlet with a polished sapphire gem. It is the talk of the night.
Wonderful, wonderful indeed. We are now going to enter into the night moves. Clara, how about we start with you? You have the most clear goal ahead of you.
I do.
Looking for a part for the child. Let's look into that.
There is no particular mechanic, I believe, for this. I believe I am just picking some place to go and gathering a part, if possible, of course.
If possible, you will have to roll for it. It will be a night move. Where are you going and what are you looking for?
I think this time we need a good, strong base. Specifically, she's looking for either something like a torso or legs, or perhaps some sort of organ like the lung or heart. Will depend when she gets there. But I think nothing too fancy. There's a mortuary a few streets away from Hargrave. Nothing too fancy. Just a place for dead people.
The mortuary is open. They always work the strangest hours. Have you ever been here before, Clara?
I think I think she has once or twice. But because it's so close to Hargrave House, she doesn't typically go to this place.
Are you making your presence known as you enter? Are you going quickly through?
I think that she's trying to move quickly. This is supposed to be quick and dirty work.
So you're sneaking in?
I think so.
What are you afraid will happen if you are caught?
I'm afraid that someone will recognize me from Hargrave House.
It's worse than that. Not only will you be recognized as a member of Hargrave House, but Scotland Yard will be called to collect you for breaking into such a place. Do you choose to move forward with this?
I do.
I'm going to have you roll. I think this would be vitality, as you are trying to sneak and to be quiet. It's something physical. But if you have an argument for something like composure, I'd be willing to hear it.
I would like to argue for composure, for the idea of sneaking around and not getting distracted and doing anything rash.
All right. How about you roll that for me, unless you have an item of some sort that you would like to use to give you advantage.
Well, I already rolled. And that is a total of 4.
Goodness me. Well then, as you are walking to the house, into the mortuary, and you are walking by, you make a fool of yourself. The person working at the front desk immediately notices you sneaking past the door and calls out your name, and you are caught off guard, and it does not matter if you run. A Scotland Yard will catch up to you and arrest you. Do you wish to live in this reality, or do you wish to put on a mask?
I think I wish to put on another mask.
Of course. Is this the mask of the past, mask of the future, or the Mask of the Unquiet, I believe it was called?
And we don't know what Mask of the Unquiet does?
No, but everyone will narrate the scene attached.
Does the unquiet just apply to when we are dealing with the active threat that it is attached to? Just making sure. Or is it something that can be used whenever?
It can be used as long as the threat is active.
Understood.
The threat is currently active. Oh. But once it is used, it cannot be used again.
I'm going to use the Mask of the Unquiet.
Wonderful. I will mark it. Everyone can narrate this later, and we will fully resolve the events of this later. But each hunter will narrate a flashback to their childhood when they experienced a haunting. And we'll go over the consequences of your night move later.
All right.
Alec, you're next.
All right.
What did you decide upon again?
I am going to use my additional move, A Lonely One, in which during the night phase I can investigate the active threat, this being the ghost currently.
And how are you investigating? Where are you going?
I believe I will retire to the library of Hargrave House and begin looking through whatever tomes and resources we have here in regards to ghostly activities.
All right.
And other similar hauntings.
I forgot to do the No.
I can do my
No,
unseen really
No,
fast.
the unseen's later. Forgive me.
Alright.
I have to remember how this works. I just need to be doing these scenes faster. I need to be snappier.
Well, I'll be fast then. But I'm just rolling an investigation.
Yes.
In which case, I would argue reason for using intellect, perhaps?
Yes, you can roll reason.
Alright. That is a 9, and because of my A Lonely One, I get an additional clue alongside the one that I receive.
Wonderful.
2 clues for the price of 1.
2 clues for the price of 1, indeed. Where did my clue page go? There it is. Alright, I am going to pick those clues. And we will get back to them. As for your complication, the room gets cold. And you feel the hairs on the back of your neck bristle. As the ghost that was haunting St. James's Street finds its way into Hargrave House. That is your complication, is that Hargrave House is now dangerous, and you are in danger.
Alright.
Is that something you would like to... Is that a complication you are comfortable with, or would you like to put on a mask?
I believe we will deal with this complication. I believe in our ability to fix this.
Then we will resolve your clues later. Raffy,
Yes.
what are you doing?
Well, contradictory to everyone who seems to be doing so important things, I'm going for a walk. A night on the town.
Night on the town. And you get to use your wonderful new move.
I do. Would you like me to explain it?
Yes. Remind me again what you are rolling, how the threat appears, and then the questions you get to ask on a success, and I'm also going to pull that up on my own end.
I roll for with sensitivity, and on a hit, I'm immediately confronted by the threat or personified danger related to the threat. And I can ask 2 questions. And they will not answer directly, but rather in the form of a clue. And on a +10, the threat or danger departs immediately, as soon as the questions are answered.
Understood. Roll sensitivity then. And this is a night move, I believe.
Correct.
Yes, so what are you afraid will happen?
I'm afraid of being confronted by an unsavory character.
It's worse than that. Whatever confronts you whatever unsavory character you run into will mean you harm. Physical harm.
Okay.
Rather than the ghost that you are trying to summon.
Would you like to hear the result first?
Yes, I would always like to hear the result first. Unless you are using an item to give yourself advantage.
I won't need it because I just rolled a 12.
Oh, shit.
Into...
Oh, Raft.
On a 12 plus, you intend to do or you hold steady, and the keeper will tell you some extra benefit or advantage you receive. And I get to describe what it looks like. You know what I think I'm going to do?
Yes.
I think, since you're rolling to get a clue, and you're already going to be getting this for free, I think I'm going to do you the benefit of giving you our first mastermind clue.
Ooh.
I think that's a fun reward. Wouldn't you agree?
I would
agree.
definitely
For an
agree.
extra benefit.
Oh, yeah.
So you use this move. You spread your consciousness through the city. Or actually, no. Fuck you. I forgot. I don't establish that yet. But I will, however, establish the mastermind clue. As that will personally be more impactful as we approach the end of session. I just needed to pull it up because I thought I had it, but I didn't, apparently. As you are channeling this energy, as you are getting ready to commune with the spirits, to reach out to this ghost, in the corner of your eye, you notice a woman. She has pale skin, completely untouched. She has piercing eyes, a color that you can't quite place. Her dress is torn and bloody, and the only thing that seems to be blemished on her is dirty, dirty feet. She's clutching a piece of broken glass in her hand. And just as you try to focus on this odd, beautiful woman who is staring at you, the apparition you're summoning appears. Baxter, cutting to you.
Okay. I am cleaning up around the house.
You're cleaning up around the house. Unfortunately, there is a threat in Hargrave House. Hargrave House is not safe in this moment.
I see.
Where are you? What room of Hargrave House are you in?
I think I'm in the parlor, the main first room once you get past the little entryway, where most people tend to congregate.
As you are in this room, little objects, little trinkets begin to float around you and are thrown at you.
I see.
You are being attacked in your own home. What do you do? How do you respond? How do you avoid getting hurt?
I will take the broom made of iron, the item that I have, and have it ready for potentially a more violent means, but I will also loudly call out to whatever is assailing me that I am both the butler and protector of this place, and that they are not welcomed guests.
So you're trying to engage with the ghost with, and it's essentially tell it to fuck off.
Yes.
I will have you roll sensitivity. Are you using your iron broom to provide you advantage, or are you just establishing that you have it here and that you're holding it?
I would like to use it for advantage.
All right, then you will mark it, and you will roll me a night move.
Okay. Alrighty. I suppose I should name what I am afraid will happen, which...
Yes, what are you afraid of happening? I apologize.
No, you're good. I am afraid that whatever has assailed me will get past me and nestle itself deeper within the house from a place I cannot escape it. I cannot get it to leave.
It is worse than that. If you are unable to command this ghost, it will possess you, and you will be what brings it further into the house.
I see. Alright.
Roll with advantage.
Mm-hmm. So that is... 9.
9. You do it or hold steady, but there's a complication or cost. The keeper describes what it looks like. You are able to hold steady. You are able to command this ghost so that you are the butler of this house, that you keep it safe, that you tend to it. I think the complication, however, is a condition. I'm going to call it glaring daggers. Unless you wish to put on a mask, we will resolve that later.
I think I will do my first Mask of the Past.
Alright, then we will establish that, and you will get a full success, in which you do what you intended to and hold steady, and you get to describe what that looks like. As we return to the unseen. And the next round of the night phase. As I pull that back up. Last time we had Raffi. Baxter, I think I'm going to keep you here.
Alright.
Might you read for me the second part of the unseen?
Miss Taylor and Miss Davenport hate one another. How do they suddenly lash out over the course of the dinner without drawing attention or causing a scene? I think they are in small talk. They are pointedly asking questions that bring dirty parts or less known of, or less wanted to be known of aspects of the house's of the two families' dealings to light. Questions about their financials, or questions about particular children and their prospects for the future. Things like that. Things that are get the other to admit the more embarrassing aspect.
Thank you, thank you. Give us one moment, dear viewers. We are conferring. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, then. I think with that, with the introduction of another round of the night phase, I think we are going to end a little early. It's our first night together, after all. And as much as I would love to continue to toy with our beloved hunters, I think we can give them a moment to rest for this current night. Before we end, I do have one thing that I must narrate. Give me one quick moment. There we go. As we take a break from our hunters, each in various states of danger and duress, we find ourselves in an old manor. It's run down and ratty. And we see the woman from before. There's marble statues crumbled everywhere. There are figures staring at the woman. 3 of them specifically. And she's muttering something, staring into a puddle of water. That broken glass clutched in her hand. She focuses on her own face. Oh, grave house. Oh, grave house. Oh, grave house. And with each time she repeats it, she grips the glass tighter. Her own blood starting to drip and mix into the water. And that's where we're going to end session, with the introduction of our mastermind.
Wonderful.
Oh, that was wonderful.
Thank you all so much, my wonderful viewers, for joining us for this first session. We're very excited to play with you again. Our next session will not be for a few weeks, as All Hallows Eve is approaching, and we have something special planned for that, so please, would you come join us again, November 14th, as the hunters will continue their adventure. For that, you are welcome to engage in the other content that I provide on this channel. Some sort of game I will be playing this weekend, and the 23rd will be the other long-running show, Circus of Dreams. It has been my absolute delight and pleasure to bring content to you all today. My dear hunters, do you have any final words for the chat before we close out officially?
I hope you enjoyed the show.
Thank you for coming.
Indeed.
Then to quote the
Missed again.
to quote who normally runs these things, please remember to drink water or wine or whatever brings you joy. Take care of yourself, my dear visitors. Goodbye.